As a melee player, if you ask me for League starter build, I will still present Rider Claw Molten Strike. This is my main characters of the several leagues. This build won't be failed. Even Vengeance Cascade has been removed, this build can still do everything. All Uber bosses included rare versions, Simulacrum with 30 deathless possible, very easy 450 depth in Delve. Map clear is relied on our mobility skill Whirling Blade with high attack speed. I would rate the map clear 7 out of 10. The only weakness is map clear on some specific map like Cemetery. So this build will sometimes switch to Lightning Strike at the very late game. Making build on Powerful Exile is very easy to fail. We need to have main mechanics idea, more mechanics ideas to support your main mechanic idea and cover our defensive at the same time. But Molten Strike is an exception. Molten Strike is already very powerful mechanic in its own right. The projectiles can impact a single target 50 to 80 times per second. With Nemesis Ring, projectiles can impact a single target up to 150 times per second very easy. This is why we are using Claw. Imperial Claw implicit with the projectiles impact. We have around 3000 life gain per second without Nemesis Ring. Germany Claw can also solve your mana and life sustain with the implicit, and also save some of our passive skill point. Another reason we use Claw is because Claw nodes are close to Rider, and most importantly, the Cluster Jewel, Fan of Blades. Fan of Blades give us one extra projectile and one more Fan of Blades from Megalomaniac. Wind Up will help us sustain our power charge. Because we're doing so many impact, our power charge will almost always sustain. We will quickly talk about situations when League start. More detail you have to check out the Path of Building. The Path of Building will cover passive skill point, skill gems and gears change one by one, step by step. Link description below. When League start, you can use any weapon and skill you like, splitting steel, Frost Blade or anything else. If you want to use Molten Strike from beginning, you need to create a Marauder to get into the town and get the Molten Strike skill gems before you start with Rangers. In Act 3, we're going to run our first lap. Way of the Porsche is the first ascendancy we have to get, and try to get all Frenzy Charge Node from here. We can use Ice Bite support from here until very late game. Ice Bite support also our main base damage come from when League start. Before we finish Act 10, we have to complete our third ascendancy. Second ascendancy will be Avatar of Slaughter. Third ascendancy will be Quartz Infusions. Avatar of Veil will be the last. After campaign, we have to find high attack speed and high critical strike chance Claw. Germany Claw is the best choice. It can save our passive skill point about mana leech. Forget about flat ally damage. We don't need that at this moment. Make sure we have enough elemental resistances and find the cheapest corrupted 6-link body armor. Get non-war strike skill, target one additional nearby enemy. Searing Exact implicit on the gloves. With attack mastery, non-war strike skill, target one additional nearby enemy. Then you can throw your Ancestral Call support away. After that, you try to get our unique gears as soon as possible. Yoke of Suffering, Chance of Emancipation, Dark Rare Vectors. Leather Pride is another very important unique jewel. We need a lot of strength on this build, so Leather Pride is necessary unique jewel. Just buy the cheapest random when League start and find a good one at the late game. If you're a new player, I have a suggestions for you after campaign. Don't too focus on earning currency, you should focus on complete the Atlas. Kill all endgame bosses, do all encounters you meet, pick up and price check all the unique items and fractured items, sell all the items and currency you don't need. After campaign, your main focus should be get to the late game as soon as possible. When you get into the late game, you will automatically get rich, get farm, try to fight every boss by yourself. Don't scare about failure. You will probably fail every endgame boss fight at the first time. find a guide on YouTube and keep trying. After you've done all the endgame contents, you probably graduated. On this build, some endgame gears is fixed like unique, and the rare gears is flexible but not quite. So we will talk about it one by one. I will introduce what I recommend. For the unique items, Yoke of Suffering is fixed unique amulet. We have to find a good anointment on Path of Building. Just take everything you have and double click on your amulet, click anoint and sort by hit DPS. Nemesis Ring is fixed unique on the late game. The Taming also good options if you cannot afford Nemesis yet. Chance of Emancipation is fixed unique belt. This is only way we gain rage and use berserk. We can use life flux like this to remove temporal chain to gain maximum rage and curse immune. So we cannot run map that curse with temporal chain. We're using 3 elemental claw as our weapons. Germany and Imperial is the best choice. We need to think about mana leech if we using Imperial claw, and we cannot run map that cannot leech. To craft this claw, we need to buy high tier fractured flat elemental damage base. Depend on your currency. Tier 2 is good enough actually. Make it at least quality 24 and spam essence. Just don't looking for the perfect when league start. Is fine to keep high attack speed and craft critical strike chance in early game. We can still improve our attack speed with Horde crafting stations, so that's why we need at least quality 24. From here, I try to explain my way to the rest of our gears. I will use space to cover spell suppress, elemental and chaos resistances, life and attribute. We need evasion based helmets with Molten Strike fires 2 additional projectiles enchant. Recommended option will be increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, either of implicit, any of increased damage per power charge, maximum lightning resist, or reduce mana cost of attacks on Searing Exact implicit. Please keep in mind don't use increased area of effect on Searing Exact implicit because area of effect also affect projectiles range. If you make our projectiles spread away, we can use Essence of Loathing to gain another increased mana reservation efficiency of skill on suffix, chance to avoid being stunned on crafting bench on suffix, space for the rest. This is what I using. For the recommended body armor options, melee hit have chance to fortify either of implicit, increase effect of non-curse auras from your skills, Searing Exact implicit, chance to avoid being stunned and avoid elemental ailments in crafting bench, space for the rest. For the gloves, Warlock prefix +1 maximum frenzy charges, elevated Hunter prefix, non-war strike skill target 2 additional nearby enemies. Is only gloves options I recommend in late game, space for the rest. In early game, we can use lesser Eldritch Ember and attack mastery to get the same effect with these gloves. After we craft these gloves, we can refund attack mastery and keep only multi-shot with impossible escape that allocate perfect agony. Boosts have many functions. I will list all useful modifiers that you can get what you need. So I won't talk about one by one in Searing Exact, in either of Essence Craft, also crafting bench. For our shields, I recommended we getting armor and evasion base. Armor base can roll take reduced critical damage from critical strike modify. Harvest crafting reforged critical will always get this modify, but not always the highest tier. Evasion base can roll spell suppress. We can also craft chance to avoid elemental ailments on shield. Focus is a very interesting modify. We can craft on our weapon, shield and glove at the late game if space allow. While focus, we can gain up to 30% chance to deal double damage from weapon and shield craft, up to 36% increase attack speed on our gloves craft. For the flux, I recommended gain flux charge when you are hit by enemies on prefix, 1 life flux for utility magic flux. I don't recommend it to use unique flux on this build because we don't need it. Life Flux to remove temporal chance and sustain our rage. Surfer and Diamond's Flux is always on, our damage boost. Two of the rest will be defensive. These two flux depend on what map you are running. If you run Searing Exarch, you need to use Amethyst and Ruby. If you run either of her, you need to use Topaz and Sapphires. For the passive skill trees, in my current setup, there are many expensive jewels on my trees, but don't worry too much. All we need in early game is Letterpride, the random one. You need to follow my path of building one by one. I will make a cheap version's passive skill tree for you to follow. And don't forget to read the note on path of building. So finally, we sometimes switch to Lightning Strike. All we need to do is buy the Flatling helmet with Lightning Strike, fire 2 additional projectiles enchant, replace Point Blank with Ballistics, replace Projectile Mastery, less projectile speed with more projectile speed, replace Molten Strike with Anomalous Lightning Strike, replace Concentrate Effect with Awaken added lightning. This setup still can do most of the contents, and we should set up our gears with no space issues when we replace our helmet. The more detail we'll write on path of building. I don't hope this video will be too long, and just keep in mind, more focus on defensive, more focus on complete the Atlas, go to the end game as soon as possible. You will get farm in the late game. For what I trust, no endgame, no fun. Hope you liked the video. Visit my live stream on YouTube if any questions. I will try to be online as much as I can. Next video we'll talk about league starts at last strategies, and it cover farming in early of the league, how to complete the Atlas easily, and we'll find out more farming strategies in future. Like and share the video if you don't mind. Subscribe for more contents. Thanks for watching. So this is the video today. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.